Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we're back again for another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have somebody special because, well, you'll see. Anyway, today we have Christina Vidovich, and she's a producer, a podcast host, and a community builder who creates platforms where women's voices are amplified. She's the founder of Vidovich Entertainment and Women Getting Visible. She's produced over 450 podcast episodes across multiple shows and has spent decades creating spaces where women can be seen and heard. Before she got into podcasting, she spent 20 years in ballroom dancing, holding spotlights and shows for dancers. And before that, a fashion designer and modeling. The through line has always been the same, putting women in the spotlight. Her latest platform, Women Getting Visible, operates on a simple belief: midlife isn't quiet, it's our breakout moment. Through global meetups, online communities, conferences, and podcasts, she creates what she calls a visibility ecosystem where women over 40 can connect, learn, and step into their next level of presence. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you, Donna. What a beautiful entrance for me. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. And, when I think about when I reached out to you, I said, wow, this woman is already in the visibility space. I am so excited to know what you've done, learn about you, because it was a moment for me that I said, there is something ringing within my brain that says, yes, I need to do this for other women, because it's fun to be visible ourselves, but there's so many incredible women out there doing incredible things. And you're one of them.
I've been doing this work for a really long time, but it didn't dawn on me until like maybe 5 years ago that it was actually visibility that I was like working around, because it was always social media or PR or videos or, it was speaking. It was always something about visibility, but like I had such a hard time explaining it because, there was so many different directions. And I don't remember what pulled it all together for me, but it was one of those light bulb moments, and it simplified everything because, I mean, people need to be visible to be found, and I really want to get into the whole, concept of visibility and beliefs around visibility, fears around visibility. I'd love to really get deep with all of this with you because, I don't have a lot of people I could talk about this with. But it's not just about finding clients. People will just, they make their goal, they make their, whatever they're planning is just around finding clients. But that visibility is important in so many different areas because it's not just clients that we need to run our businesses.
Yes, exactly. And it's interesting to talk about that because through all of these conversations that I've been having with women, through my podcasts, with my Women's Health, Wealth, and Happiness podcast, and now into the Women Getting Visible, it's like, what does visibility mean? And I've had people ask me that. It's like, well, what does it mean to you? Because this is what it means to me. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because through that research of talking to all the women, I have started what I call the 5 values of visibility that my talks are going to be based off on. Mm-hmm. So we have speaking. So the obvious one, getting on podcasts, getting on stages, standing in front of people doing workshops, the speaking engagements. Then we have community, belonging to a community, belonging to a place where you not necessarily don't want to be standing on the stage, but you want to be recognized within your community as the expert and be supported as the person who knows. Third is self, the self-confidence, the inner work that we're doing to get ourselves visible, the piece that you just mentioned, getting over those fears and being in front of people. Then we have the at home. Are we being supported at home? Are we being heard at home from our partners, from our children, from our families? And where are we recognized? And then, of course, the obvious one, the at work. So the women or anybody who's in that work environment, the corporates, and saying, am I being recognized for the work that I'm doing? So those are the 5 pieces that I've found that really talk about the visibility. But let's talk about what you're talking about, that inner work, that confidence, that fear.
Yeah. I did a panel like about a year ago, I guess, and it was just called self ... And we talked about all the selves. So self-value, self-worth, self-belief, self-love, all of it. I mean, when you start digging into what being visible really means, all of that gets kicked up. And then when that happens, when you're in this midlife space, it gets kicked up even more because systemically, all of the systems in our world, the governments and the educational and health platforms and all of the things that should be helping to lift us up are pushing us down. So when that compounds with, oh, now I have to reinvent myself, that little army of imposter syndrome gremlins they come running after you.
Oh my goodness. And I think about, I put a post up right before I had my conference that said, I'm done listening to the naysayers, the voices that are in my head because of somebody else's doubt in themselves about doing it, to put yourself in that position. And where's that voice coming from? Is so many times it's yourself, of just like, quit telling yourself no. Yeah. What would happen if you say yes to that fear? And sometimes it's the littlest things. It's like just picking up the phone call. I want to make a phone call, and you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe that person doesn't want to talk to me. It's okay. You don't know until you make the call.
But it's not a little thing, because that little thing is sitting on top of a mountain.
Yes, exactly. That pain of the rejection that we're putting on ourselves of our past experiences, or what we've been told is appropriate, not appropriate. Being ladylike and not pushing forwards.
If you want to go with what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, I don't really care. But what was appropriate and not appropriate 20, 30, 40 years ago is very different now.
Yes.
On both sides of appropriateness. So like, which set of rules are you going by if you're choosing to go by a set of rules? And does that set of rules need to be adjusted? Because you might be putting yourself back in a place that isn't even realistic to be in anymore.
And I like that, because it's true. It's the not being realistic. And I think that is where a lot of our fears are coming from.
Yeah.
That unrealistic expectations, unrealistic outcomes of what we think are going to happen, and why sometimes we just stop ourselves short from doing anything. And it's, for me, it's that magic number, crossing that 50, ribbon, and just running through it and going, okay, here I am on this side of it. Now what? And I realized, like, I'm not where I want to be. And the only person who can fix it is this girl with 2 thumbs right here. And stop saying no to myself. Get rid of those fears. And whatever it was of, thinking back to something as silly as high school, it's like, you stood out, you did something well, and you got made fun of. And so those scars that get held out, and we're like, but it was really good. And you didn't feel supported because, oh, were they really my friends in the first place? And then you get to this.
Like, who even cares? Like, how many years ago was that? Do you even know where they live?
Yeah, exactly. And exactly, the time passes by, you get to this point in life, and you do the same thing again, and now you're supported. Yeah. We've reached a point in our life where, you and I are surrounding ourselves with women who are supporting the vision, supporting what they're, what we're doing and what they're doing. And it's so fun to be in that space.
It's so much fun to be surrounded by people that you can go with the craziest idea, and even if they don't agree with you, they will be supportive in their non-agreement, you know? Nobody's shooting you down. Nobody's starting a sentence with no. I spoke to somebody, I don't know, time is like flying, so it could have been last week, it could have been 6 months ago. But they told me that they had mentioned to a friend of theirs that they wanted to do a TED Talk, and the friend just shot her down.
Mm.
And I said, "Okay, so tell me why you think you can't do this after your friend said this." And she told me the reasons, and I said, "Okay, so what do you have in support of you doing a TED Talk?" And, she's accomplished. She's got a book, and she's got a methodology, and she's got ideas, and, she's got proof in her work, and, I was like, "So, like, why can't you do this?" Like, why are you listening to her when you
Yeah.
have this evidence in a body of work that you can do this?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's something that we often forget is we already have so many tools in our toolbox. We have so
Yeah.
many life experiences already that it's like, oh, because I can even say that for myself. You
Mhm.
know, I Women Getting Visible came to me May of 2025. October of 2025, I put on a conference. So in 5 months, and I had a lot of people say, "Ooh, that's a lot of work to put on a conference and that short of time and all the things
Mhm.
that go into it." But I'm like, wait a minute. I have done this with ballroom dancing, and
Yeah.
I even forgot about that I'd done it. I put on programs of 600 to 800 audience members with dancers on stage from 2-year-olds to
Mhm.
grandmothers. And I'm like, if you can keep a room full of 2-year-olds from crying and grandmothers from telling you how to run the show, and keep everybody happy, I'm like, I can run, a conference for professional women who know if something needs, to be taken care of, they're going to step up and take care of it. So, I think sometimes it's like finding the things we already have and just go, oh yeah, I can do this, and not and not listen to it in the sense of, I've got these skill set and I
Yeah.
can do this. Giving ourselves permission.
Well, we'll say things to ourselves that we wouldn't say to anybody else,
Yeah.
and we don't invite anybody else in to counter it. So
Hmm.
that's up to us to come up with the, inner dialogue to shut those voices down.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes that's real hard to do when you've been around that negativity. And so, it's amazing changing that. I just listened to someone talk about quantum
Mhm.
and how continue to love, continue to love that person. You don't have to like them, but you can love them and make that space, put up that wall, make that space for that positive energy, for that positive person to come and fill that space, who are going to let you feel supported, and get yourself around more people who will uplift you. And why not? I mean, there's so many amazing minds out there and so many
Mhm.
positive people. Who doesn't want
Yeah.
a pocket full of amazing to, help you in your journey than just
Mhm.
continue to sit in the corner and feel ashamed, embarrassed for all the talents you already have?
Yeah. I mean, I spent 25 years working in law firms, which are not supportive places at all, and I didn't realize the level of skills that I accumulated there until after I left
Mhm.
because, it wasn't encouraged. It was just like, well, she could do it and it's cheaper than getting consultants, so let's just keep throwing work at her. And I just did it because I was bored and I wanted to learn new things. But what I walked out of there with is, I was a corporate trainer. I knew PR. I knew how to launch projects. I knew how to launch global projects and manage them. I transitioned them from, all kinds of like paper documents to automated systems. And I brought all of that with me and I didn't realize it until I was out. And, over the years, I've often thought, like, what if I never left? Like, I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't
Mhm.
know that I have these skills
Yeah.
because it was just work. And how
Yeah.
many other people are like that, that they've worked for 20, 30, 40 years in a company and they're not recognizing the value that they have accumulated and the knowledge. And
Yes.
this is one of the things I love with working with women in this age category, because they often don't know what they have. They're sitting on
Mhm.
a powder keg of amazingness.
Yeah.
And I'm just there with a lighter.
Oh, I love it. Sometimes just holding up that mirror to ourselves, going, "You already have it.
Yeah,
Stop. Take inventory. It's there."
yeah,
You know, and don't be afraid to speak up. And sometimes I think stopping and learning, like how many times I've heard people saying, you have an accountability partner, have a coach, have somebody who's in your corner to help you. And talking about experience, I'm thinking about when I would teach a couple.
mhm,
And so again, an interesting dynamic because you have specific roles, leader and follower in ballroom dance. And boy, could that ruffle some feathers. Just like, oh, I don't want to be led. Well, I'm like, it's not, don't think of it as a leading as you're going to have to do all things. As a woman, you're the follower.
yeah,
Because without you, there's no leader.
yeah,
And his entire job is to make you look good.
mhm,
So, but learning that communication though too, when somebody's like, but you're not doing this and you're not doing this. And I would hear that and I'm like, whoa, stop. Let's learn to recognize what the other person, don't attack the other person, but let's recognize what are we missing. Because right now, back to that visibility piece, you're not visible right now. They're saying something to you, you're trying to communicate, but there's some miscommunication. You're not giving them the grace and
yeah,
listening to how they're trying to say, this is what I need. So that's a lot of what I would teach is how can we communicate with each other to express what we need so that we can both play our parts. And in that piece of visibility,
yeah,
because
and that I'm sure that has, like, helped relationships too, just learning how to, um, like, just move together.
yeah,
Understand, because, like, I think if you understand, um, physical movement, it kind of moves into the emotional as well.
yes,
You're doing
yes.
a little therapy there.
You betcha I am. But
So,
no, just yeah.
with the work, like, all of your work, I mean, between, the podcasts and the ballroom dancing and, the work that you're doing now around visibility, like, what would you say is the biggest thing that holds women back from being visible?
Ooh, support,
Mhm.
feeling supported. It's just like even if they're ready, it's giving themselves that permission to go, okay, like because there's something wired in us that is like to our best friend saying, do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's just giving you that little push. It's like
Mhm.
you can rock those heels.
Mhm.
That makeup looks great. Your hair looks great. I'm thinking of the teenage self again. But it's like it's okay to show up. And so it's like getting over that self-doubt and that support. So knowing there's someone that you can turn to and trust, I think sometimes of going, who'll be honest with you. I have a sister. If I need something to be honest, I'll go to my sister and she'll tell me, oh yeah,
Mhm.
this is it. So I know there are places where I can find support and trust in someone. So I think having somebody that you can turn to will help you along that journey.
And then when they, um, get what it means to be visible, what's the change that you see?
Ooh, there is a light that glows from the inside out when they finally take that opportunity to go, oh, what was I scared of? And I did this thing that I've only been thinking about. And now, whether it's, something outward like that post, or speaking up on a stage, or speaking up in front of somebody that they've always wanted to even talk to, whether it's a workshop group or it's another human being, of going, you are my idol. I love your books. I want to be able to do what you're doing, and not realizing, oh my gosh, you already have the same tools, but now it's okay to shine that spotlight back on yourself. And it's just beautiful to watch the transitions and the smiles, and then realize once you step there that there's so many women who are already there to support you. Like, welcome to the club.
When the doors start popping open.
Yeah. And it's that manifestation that starts to happen. It's like, yes, somebody who I was talking to recently was talking about that manifestation. It's like, it's not just putting it out there. There is work that goes into that. You can't just go, oh, the prize money is going to knock on my door. And once in the day was what, Ed McMahon?
The big check, right?
Exactly. You've got to work to do something to make that happen, but allowing it and going with the flow. This is one of the things that I love for myself, is when you're pushing and trying to do something, if you're pushing too hard, it's not the right way. But when you allow the flow to happen, suddenly those doors start to open, and the right people step through. And it's shocking to me. It's like, one of the visions I have is we don't climb the mountain alone.
Mm-hmm.
We have the tools, we have the ropes, we have the clamps and the right shoes, and we have partners along the way who are reaching down to help us, and we're reaching down to help them as we climb the mountain together. And how much more fun is it to be standing at the top of that mountain with a group of people than all by yourself?
Yeah,
it's a great view to share.
and it's so reciprocal, like
Yes.
I didn't experience that early in my career because everyone was out to get everyone else, and whoever worked the most hours died first and won. That's basically it. But like coming out of that and coming into this whole new world, it was like the Wizard of Oz when you first see the color of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole new life, and I bring that when I work with clients because I want to remember like the space that they're in, because many of them are coming from that space where they were just a cog in a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And stepping out is scary because there's so many opportunities, but there's so many decisions to be made.
Yeah.
And it's different, and there's none of that institutional support around you that was once perceived to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not safe. It's what it was designed to keep you down.
Yeah. And it's interesting because when I think of visibility, I like to say, be seen, be heard, be valued, because we can be seen in a room,
Mm-hmm.
but until we're speaking up or somebody's recognizing or we're not heard.
Yeah.
And then that next step of, oh, that was valuable information. You actually took the information and now not only presented it, was somebody took that and valued what you already had.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes it's a stopping, listening and learning from others. And then you recognize that value is there. And oh my goodness. And it's so fascinating when we step into our own light and we step into our own entrepreneurial journey. I know, I've been a small business owner my entire life, and I've met so many women like you who've gone from corporate and stepping into that scary place at first. Mm-hmm. And then realizing how much more they're valued now because of everything that they've learned. And again, giving yourself the, oh yeah, I've taken all of these hard skills and boom, here we are now. And
Well,
sharing.
when you're on your own, you have to stand up as you. Like when you're in a
Mhm.
company, like I worked in a law firm that was 150 years old. So there was this institution around it. And to me, that felt safe. That felt being part of something that was bigger than me, that had this legacy attached to it. But the legacy was horrible. They did some really bad things and celebrated them.
Yeah, yeah, there is that. There is
Um,
that.
And then when you step out on your own, I mean, there is that gift of being able to create your own legacy that is steeped in your values and what matters to you. And like, you know, this whole version of visibility, like I come at it from a little bit of a different angle than you because I'm coming at it from online. So like, how are people going? Like you're in person. I'm not in person that often, you know, my whole life is online, and what I teach people to do is, you know, it's the being seen and the being heard, but the goal is that people feel you before they even hear you or see you because you are so true to your own voice that
Yes,
it can't be anybody else.
yes,
And then
yeah,
that translates into stages and podcasts and different forms of visibility. But, you know, the first goal is to get so familiar with your own voice
mhm,
that wherever you put it, it's undeniably yours.
yeah. Well, because and this is my next piece of what I'm going to spend some time exploring with the women I talk to is the vulnerability. So
Mhm,
it's one thing to be sitting on the, other side of a Zoom call or even sitting on a podcast and starting to talk, but getting in those rooms, woo, can that raise, the nerves, the,
mhm.
oh my goodness, I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know how I'm presenting. And just that piece of vulnerability. I mean, mind you, there's so many levels of vulnerability, but that in-person piece, it,
Mhm.
it strikes a whole new level.
It does, and I used to do a lot of speaking and, you know, go to a lot of events. I did a lot of teaching. I used to teach at a university, and I taught at these different entrepreneurial hubs, um, and I loved it. But, what I would do was I would swing around the room and see where I wanted to spend my time
Yeah.
because, like, there's only so much time you have in a space, right? And let's say there's 100 people in that room and you're gonna be there for 3 hours. Who who do you wanna spend those 3 hours with?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, to make it the most impactful for your time
Yeah,
because, yeah,
and the
time
listening.
anymore. Yes, time anymore is so valuable.
Yeah, it really is, and, like, when you're going in person, you know, there's travel time, there's expenses, there's all of those things add up, so it's even more valuable and more important to make sure that you spend your time well.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something, yeah, that I'm really, as I'm looking at the moments, it's like make them impactful. Take those times. If you've got something to say, don't wait to say it. Go ahead and say it. Let other people know what you're thinking. If you want that introduction to someone, make it yourself sometimes.
Mhm.
It's take the opportunities, be visible when you're in the rooms because you're there.
Yeah, exactly, and, you know, the other part of the visibility piece that people often, um, misinterpret is that they have to be an influencer, they have to be a
Mhm.
Kardashian, they need 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, um, but it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yes. Yes. I just had this conversation with somebody who was trying to downplay somebody for having less followers. And I said, you know what? The vanity numbers are just simply that. They're
Yeah,
vanity numbers. Somebody's just like, oh, I've got all these people. Great. Maybe I only have 20, but those 20, they're engaged with me and I know who they all are.
Yeah.
So, it's much more important.
It's so much more important. I've worked a lot with authors, and publishing companies want big platforms. And I would get on the calls with these publishing companies, and I'd say, "Well, do you know who these people are?" And they'd say, "No." I said, "Do you know, are they Viagra salesmen from the Philippines?" And he'd be like, "I don't know." And I'd be like, "It doesn't matter. Like, you don't know who they are. They're just like this mass number." And they, it doesn't really matter, because if you have those 20 people that are around you and they are um, supportive and they're interested and they come back, they're going to come back with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 21 people and 26 people and 35 people, and they're going to bring people who are aligned. And when you grow that way, that's a foundation.
Yeah.
That's not a fluke.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do something on LinkedIn that, I know a few others who do it as well. Like anytime somebody reaches out to me to connect, after I check to make sure they're a real person, make sure there's some video of the person and there's some real action going on, I will say, hey, I'm happy to connect. Let's talk. Because I just don't want to connect with you. I want to connect with you as a real person.
Yeah.
So if I can refer someone to you or vice versa, I want to know who's on the other side. So as these numbers are growing, I want to know, because it's so important. It's so important.
Well, then they're people They're not, I mean, that's how I grew this whole thing. It started with people I knew, and then they started to introduce me to people, and I got on calls with them, and then they became my people.
And it's incredible. I have to tell you, the meet that you did, the meet and greet, oh my goodness. I met 5 women off of that call after that, and all of them were spectacular. I mean, I'm just so thrilled, and real people, exciting people. And, and it's so nice because it's like, again, back to what we were talking about a minute ago, is those are the people that are going to support you and who recognize and value you and help your visibility as well, in that whole supportive piece. And it's incredible. And I love, Donna, I absolutely love what you're doing. And I love the women that are surrounding you. And I'm just like, I'm honored to be as a guest here today with you. So thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. This is incredible, because I'm going to share this as well. When I stepped into visibility space, I'm like, okay, who are the visibility ladies out there? And Donna popped up #1 on the list. I think it's just the AI prompting that you do.
It could be a little SEO magic on the back end.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but I had to reach out to you because I'm like, out of respect of women who are already in the space, I'm like, I'm still a newbie in the visibility space, but again, the work that you've been doing is just incredible. So I applaud you, and I'm happy to know you and to be in this visibility space as well. So
thank you for those kind words. It's, I love this work. I love this work. And when I kind of realized it was more than just the individual parts that I was doing, that there was something bigger, that it was visibility. It was before it was a buzzword. It felt like I came home, because it was more than just a tactical thing. It was something that it transforms your relationship with yourself, because you have to be comfortable in your skin to be able to show up wherever you show up.
yes.
Because when you start becoming visible in places that you don't have control over the reins, you don't know where it's being shared. You don't know who is, viewing it, and you just don't know where it's showing up. And you have to be comfortable with what you say. You have to be one with your story and your mission and what you care about. And like when I work with clients, they get annoyed at me because I make them go through all of that first, because it's different when you come across it from this angle, because it's really, it's like getting up there naked. You're showing everything. And you have to be ready to do that before you start putting yourself on the stages or reaching out for media, because somebody who's on the other end making the decisions, they're going to see right away that you're not ready, because you'll hesitate.
Yes. Yes. And it's back to that vulnerability piece.
Yeah.
You've got to get through some of that emotional visibility, vulnerability, because just like you said, it's especially doing this, we're evergreen now. We're out on the internet.
See this? It's
Oh,
next to me every single day. Look at those tabs.
yes. I love Brene. Oh my goodness.
Right next to me, because it has a description through her lens of research on every emotion.
Yes.
So no matter what somebody's going through, I'm not a coach, I'm not a therapist, but I'm Brene Brown trained. And I lean into what she has, devoted her life's work to. And it has often helped me guide somebody through, something that they're dealing with, to become ready to be visible.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And she's an incredible resource for all of that work. I absolutely believe that as well. I've watched her special, and she was recently on the podcast Diary of a CEO too, sharing, because I know she just released her latest book and everything.
Which was amazing. Have you read it yet?
Not yet, but I've got some time.
Okay, so chapter 15
yes.
I listened to it. It was over 2 hours. It's grounded confidence. It's some of the most transformative, reading I've done. I need to do it again, because I was driving when I was listening to it. I need to sit down with a notebook and 26 pens.
And that's what I do when I listen to her. I hit the rewind and I keep jotting. I'm like, contemplate in short chunks, because she gives so much packed information. It's so powerful. I'm like, I've got to sit with this for a little bit.
Yeah, but it's so much of it is really relevant in the work that we do, because you have to be ready. You have to be ready with your, aligned self before you can put yourself out there in a way that's going to make an impact, that's going to make people want to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the ladies out there teaching visibility are still very visible. So we have to do that work. We've got to know.
Okay, so oh my goodness, I just noticed the time. So we need to wrap this up. But I like to end these interviews with asking for a wisdom bomb, something small, actionable that people could take with them.
Oh, here's mine. Give yourself permission to say yes. When you're thinking, whatever you're thinking about right now that you want to do next, say yes. And start off, if you haven't said it out loud, write it down. Get it out of your head and into the universe. The universe is going to guide you. So say yes.
Okay, that's good advice. And everybody, please connect with Christina at womengettingvisible.com. And she's also on LinkedIn, and she's on our Real 50 Over 50 page. And she's got a whole series of events going on over the next couple of months. So take a look and see if there's one coming to your town. And she's our last interview for the year. So come back on the 17th when we're going to have a mix and mingle, and then we've got interviews booked all the way into May.
Wow.
So we've got lots of good stuff coming. But I will see you all on the 17th. Christine, I hope you'll join us then too. And
I will be.
and then we're going to shut down for a couple of weeks and have some holidays.
Exactly.
Okay, so thank you. It was fun, and I love digging into the whole visibility thing. And I look forward to see what else you do on your newly launched avenue, which is great. I love to see that you just ran with it. It was really, I love it because more people need to be doing this.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for today, and I can't wait to continue getting visible with you.
All right, everybody, have a great Wednesday, and we will be back.